the security of the coming generation. I ask you, are we pleased with the situation that this country finds itself in today? Or are we nervous, wondering what next will come our way? Did we make the best use of opportunities, or did we just fritter them away? Friends, are we victims of the games that hide people away? I wonder what you will say. Are we ready? Are we ready?
That is Rawle Axeback Titus there as we continue to celebrate him this morning. I want to welcome the CEO of the Tobago Festivals Commission, Mr. John Arnold, who's a really good friend of Axeback. Good morning to you, Mr. Arnold.
Morning. It's good to be here. Morning to everybody. And yes, it's
Happy New Year and all that good stuff.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too, Rockers.
Well, we start the year off on a bit of a somber note. Tell me about your relationship with Rawle Axeback Titus.
Well, I mean, Rawle was, like Kimberly says, multi-hyphenated.
Mm-hmm.
I like the term because there were so many things. Axeback wasn't just a Calypsonian. I mean, Axeback was a choreographer. Axeback was an arts administrator. Axeback was a dancer. Axeback was an arranger. He was a panist. I recall a number of great moments with Axe. And he was also a historian and I would say an ethnomusicologist also, because he was very much interested in studying the work of the Tobago tambourine. And I know he was working on a publication. Not too sure if he did get through to finish it. But 2 years ago, we were engaged in a project working on the Tobago tambourine with trying to get the pedagogy with the University of Trinidad and Tobago. So that project had started, and then it was aborted, not due to us really, but to funding challenges. So, right. Yeah, I mean, Axeback happens to be many hats, and he's going to be a real loss. I think one of the things I can say, Rockers, that I read online that I really like, it's almost, you feel as though a library just got burned down. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's almost like all that knowledge is just, gone in one little whiff. So he will be remembered because his work continues even though he dies.
And that's the next thing I wanted to ask. Because I know that, I mean, you already in that position. You have a similar multi-hyphen approach to life and to everything else. So I wanted to find out, the work that he started, is it that you've already continued doing some of the work? Or do you plan to continue doing more of it and to pass that legacy on further?
Yeah, I mean, we both operated in this space in that kind of way. He wrote a really good thesis and a book that's published on bongo. That is a very interesting read. And I think it's available on Amazon also.
Okay.
And he has been doing, actually on YouTube, if you look at there's a program called, it's actually on my page, called Tobago Tambourine, Indigenous Percussive Instrument. Mm-hmm. That documentary was done several years ago by Janice Walker. And it's really a whole education there by Axe as to how the tambourine is made, how they go out and get the bark, and how they make it, how they treat it, and eventually how they play it. Yeah. So Axe is actually featured on that documentary for that. So I'm saying there's so many things he has contributed that people like myself, yes, God's willing, we have to continue to work. I have done some other angles, like, I'm looking at the tambourine fusion with things like the tabla and looking at fusion and looking at how we can expose the tambourine through jazz and so on. So there are other avenues, but the research continues. There's work going on in several areas by several persons, that have contributed in the space.
I mean, can you give me a brief description of how things have changed from, when I first spoke to Axeback, it would have been about 2 years ago. We did something for Calypso History Month, and he was telling me about the development of Calypso and Calypso tents in Tobago specifically. Over the years, can you tell me some of the changes that you would have seen take place from some of the historical perspectives that he would have had to now?
Yeah, well, I mean, acts during the days of acts performing, I used to follow the tent. Calypso was really, really something that I would say when you had guys like him, um, Ringo, Happy, there's another guy from Better, I forget his name now. But anyway, Rio, Tobago Rio.
Mm.
They used to do a thing called community caravan, and the tent will actually move around the island, and you will go. And I remember vividly in one show in Castara. I remember one in Charlottesville, and he was part of that. I mean, he was part of that during the days before he stopped performing. But Axeback was one of those who was kind of noted as one of the top guys who will always make it to the big yard, well, not the big yard Savannah, but Skinner Park. Um, and he wrote for others too. That was also critical. And he wrote
Hmm.
for young persons also, for children. So I would say over the years, that kind of Calypso involvement has decreased in terms of the community showcase and in terms of people really going to the tents in
Yeah.
masses. I remember the tents used to be full during
Hmm.
his time. I
Hmm.
mean, really, really full. Now I think it needs revival in another way of how we do that, and probably looking at it with how we can probably mix multimedia and everything to make it a little more attractive now.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, his legacy is definitely going to live on, and we hope that we can do our part to make sure it gets to a better place going forward. But
Yeah,
as the
go
CEO of the
ahead, go ahead.
Festivals Commission, I know that he would have also played an instrumental role in the development of the Tobago Heritage Festival. Can you talk
Correct.
a little bit about that?
Yes. So many years ago, I was a chairman of the Heritage during 90 to 92. He
Hmm.
became chairman later on. Beyond that, after that, we had Annette Alfred, we had several persons, but he was also Heritage chairman at one point. And again, he used his own knowledge. We also spent some time in Italy, 2 years, 2 months, working on a small island, um, Sardinia, off of Italy.
Okay.
Um, Myself, him, and he had a dance troupe with him, and he used to play band with myself and James. And we worked there on this resort. It was a beautiful resort. Eat as much and play every day and play music every night. And he was part of that. And we
Yeah.
spent 2 months out there. Um, so he has been pretty ambassadorial too. He was also the leader of several groups, right? The Tobago Folk Performing Company. He was also the big guy in Mount St. George during the heyday of Best Village. And he also had a group in Delaford.
Yeah.
Recently, with us last year, he worked with the Heritage Festival with what we call Northside Combined, which would have been Castara, Palatine, Bloody Bay, Lansome. He was part of that coordinating team for that program that we hosted last year for Heritage. So that's the last time we had real powerful interaction. Beyond that, we were talking about how we can develop the tambourine thing and also how we can start to record and document some of the history
Yeah.
of Tobago and the culture. So
And
it's a loss. It's a real
And but
loss.
the work continues, and that's the important
Yeah,
part to focus on.
yeah.
Before we wrap up this morning, though, I know that we would have also lost a veteran masquerader, Tobagonian masquerader, Peter Archer. He would have passed away on Wednesday. Any
Yes, he
comments?
used to be my neighbor.
For real? Any
Yeah,
comments you
yeah, he
want to
used to be
give
my
us before we
neighbor.
go?
Yeah. Solid guy. I mean, a real carnival man.
Hmm.
and he used to do his research. He was really well researched, and he was very passionate about carnival, especially the Indian masquerade the Indian display. He really, really was a passionate guy. And he used to be my neighbor diagonally in Rockleyville. That was before the highway was created.
Well, John, I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for joining us and for sharing with us this morning. Yeah? We're going to leave it there, and do enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you again very, very much. That's John Arnold, the CEO of the Tobago Festivals Commission, just sharing with us a little bit about some of our losses, unfortunately. But I want to encourage each and every one of you to go out there and make a difference today now, because together we aspire, and if together we perspire, together we can achieve. Don't forget, you can tune into Black Sardin's funeral happening live today on TTT Live online. My name is Rokas. On behalf of Kimberly D'Souza and Natasha Lake, we wish you a fantastic day. Take care.